as plaintiffs in the Texas suit are Alabama, Arizona, Arkansas, Florida, Georgia, Idaho, Indiana, Kansas, Louisiana, Maine, Mississippi, Michigan, Montana, Nebraska, North Carolina, South Carolina, North Dakota, Ohio, Oklahoma, South Dakota, Utah, West Virginia, and Wisconsin. Half the states in the country filing to stop this, and Obama just puts his head down and tries to force it through. Up next, more funding from the federal government. $300 million of funding is to go to Afghanistan. They have 147,000 national police, and they have issued 300,000 national police ID cards. So there's an extra 153,000 people that are on the police salary, walking around with police badges, getting paid for doing nothing. The graft that is going on there makes America look clean. An audit of the Afghan National Police salaries says that the Special Inspector General for the Afghanistan Reconstruction Project said the police rosters were inflated, staff were overpaid, and payments were made to more employees than were authorized. It said the organizations responsible for verifying police data had not properly scrutinized the figures provided by the Interior Ministry. Officials confirmed that over the past year they accepted without question all personnel totals provided by the Interior Department. Now, the United States has provided 38% of the $3.6 billion that the international community has contributed to the fund since 2002. Overall, we've poured more than $100 billion into the reconstruction of Afghanistan. Folks, I don't know about you, but I say close the tap. Close the tap. It's just more money going to feed a crooked government. The money isn't going to support the people that it's intended for, and it should stop. It should stop post-with. Okay, folks, stay with us. We got a lot more coming up. We'll be right back.
Tom O'Halloran has a not-so-common core spelling lesson for the Obama administration. Ready? There is no K in America.
There's kids who can't pray in school, $100 tanks of gas. I can tell you right now, this country ain't supposed to be like that. No, that ain't my America. That ain't this country's roots. You wanna slam, hold on to Sam, but I ain't letting you. Yeah, I'm mad as hell, and you know I still bleed red, white, and blue. They ain't us, and that ain't my America. Oh no, that ain't my America. No, 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 no. That ain't my America.
Welcome back. This is the Tuesday night edition of the Patriot-Radio Show, and I'm your host, Tom O'Halloran. Up next, the government in Washington, D.C., the city government, is moving forward with a new set of laws that tears at the very fabric of the Constitution. First, they're moving to force pro-life groups to pay for abortion coverage. But secondly, they have passed a bill that effectively destroys religious freedom in our very nation's capital. A column written by Onan Koka this week said that the city has passed a bill called, he says as he drops the paper, bill called the Human Rights Amendment Act of 2014, Human Rights My Eye. This act will eliminate the nation's capital Religious Liberty and Academic Freedom Act. Now, that act that's being replaced gave specific protection to religious schools in our nation's capital. Specifically, it protected them from being forced by the government into promoting, encouraging, or condoning any homosexual act, lifestyle, orientation, or belief. Now, the mayor's not yet received this bill, but she's a extremely motivated liberal, and it's likely that she will sign this. If she does that, Catholic schools can be forced to accept homosexual student groups. They can be forced to have homosexual-oriented training. They can be forced to allow homosexual teachers into their midst, homosexual students into their midst. It's no longer the right of the religious institution to run their institution the way their religious beliefs dictate. So, folks, there's not a lot that can be done here except pray. If you're getting this message, please pray that this bill never gets signed. I believe I've got a caller. I'm expecting this to be Veronica Coffin, my editor. Ronnie, is that you?
Yeah, can you hear me?
I can sure hear you, Ronnie. How are you doing, dear?
Oh, that's wonderful. Anyway,
what's on your mind?
I want to ask your opinion on all this new, it's like we're being bombarded with ads and everything for all these online schools. And this is high schools, grade schools, colleges. What effect do you think this is going to have? I mean, I wish I had an online school when I was young. I could look up all the answers for the test. I don't think the kids are going to be learning, especially without the open discussion.
Well, I'm going to take the other side of the coin. Here's my thinking. We're dumping billions of dollars into schools and teachers' unions. And the money is going toward unions and going toward political campaigns and stuff. The money's not, we're not getting the bang for our buck. You would think if you're pouring $100 per month per student, you're going to get X. And if you pump $200 per month per student, you're going to get a better result. It's not the case. We're pouring more money into yearly student seats than we ever have by a long shot. And our grades, our performance is far, far lower than it ever has been. So I'm ready to write off our complete educational system until we get rid of the Department of Education, bring education back to the states. I'm all for it. The teachers have failed us. They've failed our kids. People are being moved through the system. They don't expel them anymore. They don't allow them to drop out. They kowtow to them to keep the kids' butts in the seats so they still get the federal funding for that student as he moves through. And they bounce him from one grade to the next. We're pushing him out the door, the front door, after 12 years. And as I said in an earlier story, they've got a 7th grade reading. That means the last 6 years have been a total waste. So
well,
I say,
this has been going on even when I was going to school back in the 60s. I mean, my dad paid for me to go to parochial school because the public schools were so bad.
Yeah.
And I know when I, applied for colleges and that, they looked at the public school as a D rating. So if you got an A, they considered that a D.
Uh-huh.
Whereas parochial school, if you got an A, they considered that an A. And
Absolutely.
I remember even back then, they had a reduced entrance because there was all the civil rights things going on so that the minorities could get into school because they weren't able to even, come up to grade for entrance.
Yep.
So this is something that's been historically bad.
Well, historically, but historically they've been failing.
Yeah,
but at least they were teaching reading, writing, and arithmetic. Now they're teaching kids homosexuality and teaching them it's okay to come to school dressed like a girl if you feel like a girl. I mean, it's not education.
And plus, they don't even teach history anymore.
No.
And what is taught is revisionist. It's all slanted to what the liberal ideas of their values.
I'm all for taking it private. I think the states ought to have a test out to get a graduation certificate, a diploma. Go private. The schools will have to compete against each other to get the grades. Teachers will have to shape up in order to get jobs at these online institutions. And I think only good would come of it.
I agree with that wholeheartedly. The problem with all of our schools is that the federal funding. With the federal funding comes the federal dictates. The same as with our banks, when they subsidized our banks, when they subsidized our industry.
Well, not only that, but it brings a single point of focus, which allows people like Bill Gates and the Muslim influence that he runs with to bring Common Core in. You've seen the math. This stuff is insane. Something that your kids and my kids were taught, you and I were taught to solve a simple math problem. 7 + 9 = 12. But they're taught now to create these bars and then circle the bars and draw a box around the circle. It's insane the way they're trying to do this.
Oh, it doesn't even make any rational sense. Of course, most liberals don't.
Well, this is true. This is true.
And
The whole idea of the federalized student system, the federalized education, it was wrong from the get-go, and it's only gotten worse. I'm 100% behind the online education, and I don't know that I even want it to be federally managed. I think it should be. The testing should be done by the state, and it should be completely federal hands off.
I don't know. I think the kids are going to miss a lot with the online. For instance,
they're gonna miss a lot, but they're also
Academy of Science. Is the online school going to offer that? And there's all this other academic competition, and there's the hands-on experience too, like with science labs and biology labs and everything. Where are they going to get that?
Well, here's the thing. It's basically it's getting back to homeschooling, because that's what it is.
I think
no parents are just going to let their kids sit home and do that. It'll be homeschooling through these different things, but a parent will need to be involved. Yes, you can't just turn a kid loose with a computer and say go to school.
Yeah,
no, that's insane.
Well, a lot of the difference occurs too. I grew up back east. We had a lot of parochial schools. You don't see them anymore. There is not what private schools even in your area? We don't see that anymore. Everything is government controlled, all these schools.
Yeah. I mean, the Catholic school system is still pretty huge. They've still got Catholic schools everywhere. I don't know about other religions and branches and stuff, but the Catholic school system, which is what my kids went through, they're still strong. And any student that, say, the parent gets into a financial bind and can't continue in the Catholic school system, by golly, any student that has been in Catholic school that goes back to the state school, all of a sudden a C student turns into an A student, because they learn how to study. They're also already probably a year or 2 or 3 years ahead of where the idiots in public school are.
Well, up through second grade, as long as I could afford it at the time, my daughter went to private school also. She goes to second grade public school when I transferred her, and she thought she was in kindergarten. Everything was so easy for her.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they complained to me. They brought me into the school, the principal, that she is reading too much. If she finishes the test early, she's reading. That's bad.
Send her to the principal's office. Ronnie, the show's up there.
Okay.
Appreciate you calling in.